Hello and welcome. My name is ARKUTU'S and it's always a pleasure to bring you the best of Ghana's real estate industry. You may have heard of the Ghana Real Estate Agency Council and the Act that have been established. And today we have the acting CEO of the council, Mr. Emmanuel Jeffery, to answer all the questions that we have about the Act and how it's going to positively reform Ghana's real estate industry. Whether you're an investor, real estate agent, broker, developer, or a player or stakeholder in this industry, stay tuned. This is for you. So, Mr. Jeffery, you're most welcome. Let me give you a handshake. It's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Anna. And I'm excited to be here today.
Fantastic. So, yes, please, we'll just dive right into it. As you can see, I have my questions. This is the first time I actually printed because this is really important. So, can you tell us, what is the Real Estate Agency Act? Why was this act established and what purpose does it serve?
So thank you again to my cherished listeners. So the Real Estate Agency Act was established in the year 2020, Act 1047. And the purpose of the act was clearly to regulate the real estate agency practice and other commercial activities, sales, rentals, and all fixed assets related. So clearly they want to sanitize the real estate space. And another reason for the establishment was Ghana was blacklisted under the AML, under the Mutual Evaluation Assessment. And clearly it means that Ghana was blacklisted for doing money laundering, which I think we were not. So one of the reasons why we had to establish the agency was one of the indicators to show that you are enforcing to make sure that the country is not a country for money laundering. So we had to establish the office to make sure that we're regulating the space to bring sanity. So that's why the act was established in 2020 and the act is Act 1047. So clearly it's to regulate the real estate practice in the country, to bring about and prevent fraud, to reduce misrepresentation, and also to ensure that unethical behaviors from the sector is eradicated. And that's one of the main purposes for the establishment of the act.
That's awesome. So we need to remember it's Act 1047 if ever you want to look into it or research it. And I know you have your website, which we are sharing on the screen, where they can go to and
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Anna.
I noted that you talked about sales, rentals, commercial. So this means that it covers everyone in the industry. Absolutely need to be paying attention. And definitely, I agree with you. Having been in the industry for 19 years this year, we've come across so many situations, and we have looked forward to such a regulatory council that we can refer to, or we can refer clients to, or we can reach out to when there's an issue. So that's awesome. If you don't have anything else to add, I'll go on to the next question.
Yes, ready for you.
Okay. So now we talked about the act. We want to know for sure who are the various stakeholders who will be benefiting from this act and the regulatory council, and how will they benefit? Because we've said if you're a stakeholder, pay attention. Who are these stakeholders who should be paying attention?
Well, Zohana, clearly, I think I told you about the objectives of the functions of the act. And it says that you have to regulate the real estate practice and all other related activities. So the beneficiaries are actually the developers, the agents, the brokers, and the realtors are key beneficiaries. Also, there are other stakeholders who are very much interested. The ordinary citizens are very much interested. Investors from abroad are very much interested. If you take Bank of Ghana, if you take GRA, if you take FIC, as state institutions, the police and all that are very much interested in this space, because we have a lot of issues under the space, and we need to synchronize together to make sure that we sanitize the system. So those are the beneficiaries of the space. I mean, the key stakeholders, like I said earlier. Yes,
that's great. For the sake of the audience who are very interested, and you know what, Danny, is the GRA, is the Ghana Revenue,
right.
And you mentioned the
FIC, Financial Intelligence, because we have to report our transactions to the financial intelligence. Yes,
and that's it. That's great. So what should buyers, sellers, and investors expect to change? What change should they see when this is fully implemented?
Well, I think that first of all, the act coming on board, it's a good thing. And the second thing is to follow through my functions and ensure that the people are well educated, a lot of awareness. So if you look at the functions of the Act, we're supposed to clearly take data of all real estate agents and brokers, and also to ensure that they report their transactions. I mean, clearly it shows that there's going to be a lot of monitoring, enforcement, penalties for people who do not abide by the rules. And if that is done well, it brings a lot of sanity into the system. And from where I'm sitting and from where I hear from people, that's one area that has not been well regulated. And I believe that if we do it well with strong enforcement and backing from government, I think that everybody will be happy in the sector, which is key, because if you look at infrastructure for every country, the real estate sector contributes stronger to the GDP. It shows that it's an area that you don't have to allow people to do anything. You have to make sure you have a strong regulator that puts people in check. So one of the things we're trying to do is we want to make sure that any transactions that you have to use our transactional forms to do your business. You have to make sure that we are privy to your sales agreements, because we want to make sure that it's going to be a cashless, nobody has to use cash in transactions. So it brings about monitoring, and once you develop that, you have a penalty. And that's what we're telling the developers, we're telling the agents and brokers, to make sure that if you're not registered with us, you cannot work. And once we do that, we'll bring a lot of hope into the system, and that's what a lot of Ghanaians expect, and also investors who want to come to Ghana. That's a key priority, and I believe that with a strong government enforcement, we will do it right.
Awesome. So yes, as we know, this is a governmental agency. Yes, you have the full backing of the government. And the two things I picked up is sanity and hope. Sanitizing the industry, which I know many clients, many people who are looking to Ghana are looking for, because they've heard so many things. And then hope, because yes, this means that with sanity, it's going to be an industry that they can trust.
Right. Absolutely.
Then
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, let's talk about some of the key issues that you've observed, just because sometimes when we speak, it sounds a bit general, but what are some issues that you've observed, and what is the council going to do about issues like these?
Right. So we realize, first of all, that the market is very much unregulated. That's one of the biggest headaches. We notice that there are a lot of agents who are not registered. We notice that there are a lot of brokers who are not sending us their transactional information. We notice that there are people just coming into the market to build and not registering with the associations. We notice that there's a lot of fraudulent issues and a lot of unethical behaviors from the space. And we believe that with our functions and our mandate, we can bring a lot of sanity if we are able to educate the people, bring a lot of awareness with timelines. I believe that we will achieve what we want to do with the council.
Awesome, that's great. So you touched on education, right? How, Ghana is a big country in its own regard. How are you educating people? How do agents get to know? I'm sure there are many agents out there who are doing this and even seek such regulation, but don't know what they need to do, how to report, where to. Please tell us about how you're doing that.
So I think, first of all, we noticed that there was no data in the country for all the registered agents and brokers. So we had to speak to the assemblies and also to the register of companies to try and give us the real-time data so that we can build our data. Now, the second thing is, if you look at my functions, I have to be in all the regions. And so what we're doing is, we notice that the best way to do it is to work with the assemblies so that they give us all the information in all the areas. So we're doing a regional visit to all the regions, and we've done central, we've done a few regions, and we were able to bring all the agents and brokers together to educate them about the functions of the Act and also ask them questions on how best to improve on the Act. And it's been ongoing. But what I want to say is, we're coming up with our Stronger and Maiden conference on the 15th. And clearly, the essence of the conference is of October
this year.
And that's next week. And the purpose of that is to, first of all, to tell people why the Act was established, and also to go through the Act and make sure that people understand why the Act. And we're not enemies to anybody. We're just making sure that if you enter that space, you need to do the right thing. You need to make sure that we prevent fraudulent activities, misrepresentations, and also to give confidence in the country and make sure that people reset their minds when they enter that space, that it's not an area that you just want to enter to just make money, but you have to go in and protect people who want to put their monies in there. So clearly, we're educating the people. We want the people to know that there's a council that if you have issues, you can visit for us to go through all the issues. And if you're not happy, there's an appeals committee. And if you're not happy, you can go to court as well. But we clearly are working with all the state institutions, especially the enforcement agencies, to make sure that when there are problems, you can report to us, and would also make sure that the Yoko, FIC, and all the strong agencies know about the issue. So we want Ghanaians to know that there's hope, and the council has come to stay stronger to make sure that people's grievances will be heard.
That's great. So what I did with the maiden summit to inform all stakeholders about it on Wednesday, the 15th of October, 2025 at the
Nobody Beach Hotel. Yes, correct. So it starts at 9 o'clock. Yes. And it's a full day event. Yes. And you have a lot of exhibitors. That's from the developers, and the few people who are sponsored, and they want to be heard as well on the panel. So we want to make it a one-stop shop for all the stakeholders to be part.
Great. And this is where you are going to educate all of us on
Right. Transactions are done, and
engagement.
absolutely.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, I want to touch on the investor, right? Because the real estate market is run by the investor. I have an investor, there's nothing going on, right? People are build, agents can be the marketing, but the investor is so important.
Right.
How does REAC, which is the short name for Real Estate Agency Council, protect the investor?
Right. I mean, clearly, if you look at the functions of REAC, one of the things we talk about every day is the essence of it is clearly to protect the investor. So the investor is dear to us. So we make sure that we tell the investors that anytime you come to this country and you want to go into properties, one of the first things you have to do is to visit REAC and speak to us on what you want to do. So clearly due diligence is very important, and we'll run you through our functions and all the things that you need to know as an investor. But if you do not do that and you come in and you're negligent on your checks, then you're on your own. But what we tell investors is, if you look at the core of the establishment, is to protect investors. And so we're in there to protect any investor that is coming with our functions, and to make sure that people are punished for wrongdoing. So it's clearly a council for investors. So you can't just come in to do anything. There are rules and regulations, and there are stronger legal framework backing the investor. But if the investor comes and he doesn't come to the council to find out what the council does, and he goes into the market to just buy a property and he's defrauded, that is where the difficulty is. But I believe that as an investor, you go anywhere, you need to do a proper due diligence and speak to people about the legalities and the illegalities of anything that you want to go through. And I believe that the council is ready and very strong to protect anybody who wants to go into real estate space. And that's why I sit here and I'm happy about it, because we all have to do it well to protect people who are bringing their hard-earned monies to invest in our country, and it makes it better for the nation.
That's great. Thank you. I think that's really good. And it gives confidence to the first-time investor. Right? People have heard about Ghana, they love Ghana, and they want to invest first ticket. And knowing that they have a regulatory board authority lawyers verifying, okay, I want to work with this real estate agent. Are they truly licensed? And they know that once this agent is licensed, they've been cost changed and they are held accountable. And how does an investor verify an agent, for example? Because an agent can say, hey, I'm licensed, right? Not every investor will hear about the council, but their first point of contact would be a real estate agent, right? And then the agent would say, hey, I'm licensed. How do they know whether this is like original? Do they go to your website? Is there a scan code to verify?
So what we're doing is, clearly, if you look at the functions of the council, we're supposed to take data on all agents in the country, and it's across. So if you're an agent and you're not registered with us, for us to put in the national database it means that you are not a registered agent. Now, if you look at the functions, it says that to be qualified, it has to be 5 years prior to the act. It means that right now is 2025, so 10 years. So people who do not meet that requirement have to go through the educational route. So what we are doing is, we know for a fact that some people could scam the codes to print out fake certificates to say they're registered, but we're not allowing that because we're working all the stronger state institutions, and we're checking all our cyber checks and everything to make sure that people can't hack into our system. So clearly, once you come in and you check from the council, we're coming up with a system that you can come in to see if the agent is actually registered. So verification is key, and asking questions is key for us. Don't be isolated. We're open for you to ask all the relevant questions, but what I want to say is there's a stronger security backing from our place to make sure that people can't just hack in and do what they want to do. You have to have a number to show that you're one of the registered people in the space, and to assure you, Hannah, that's what we're doing from the council.
That's great. Thank you so much. Now, of course, I want to go into the stakeholder that's most important, but to me, brokers or agents, on behalf of myself and my fellows, right? I know that even developers and investors are keen to understand, agents, their role, and how they contribute to the industry. So I have a few questions regarding that. And the first thing I want to do, for example, is talk about the young agent. Right. I, for example, have 19 years. Do I qualify, right? But what about the agents who's been working for, say, 8 years, 5 years? They are doing great. There's a lot of them out there, right? You are saying that there's an educational route they have to take, because we understand that nobody wants business to halt because I have to go and take it. I don't know how long the course is when you tell us.
Right.
How do you protect them to say, okay, you've been doing this for 5 years? I mean, we've seen your police reports, because I know that's included, and you look good, but can they simultaneously work? We hope so, whilst they do the educational thing. Please take us through that, because this is for the up and coming agents who still needs to make a living.
Right. I mean, if you look at the functions of the act, it says that you'd have to pick out the relevant data of all the agents in the country. That's first of all. So that gives you the ability to know those who are supposed to be registered agents and those who do not meet the standard. Now the question is, I am supposed to educate the people and bring a lot of awareness. I'm not supposed to prevent people from working. That's key, because employment is very key for every developing country. So what we're doing is we're educating the people now to educate them that, listen, if you don't meet the standard, you have to come to the educational route. Now, educational route is very necessary because we want everybody to understand what he's doing, because you have a lot of semi-illiterates in that space, and they're supposed to write the exams to pass to understand what they are selling, because people are just doing anything they're doing on that space, and we're preventing that. But what I want to say is we are not stopping people right now, but we are setting time so that once you go contrary to our time, you're on your own. So what we're doing is we're educating people about what the act says, but we're not stopping anybody. But the governing board is coming up with our own procedures such that we're educating them that by next year, early next year, if you're not able to register with us as a time limit, then you cannot work as an agent. Then you need to come through the educational route. And the educational route is very important because it will take you through the procedures on what you are selling, proper due diligence and everything, so that you don't just fall yourself into trouble. And those are the reasons why education is key, for you to develop yourself. And in the act, it talks about continuous training. And it's something that we want to do for the agents and the brokers and everybody to be involved in, not only selling. You have to educate them in ethics, on ethical behavior, fraudulent issues and all that. It's very key for us, but not just coming into the real estate space to say I'm selling a house. That's so wrong. You need to understand basic things. Is the title for the person? If I sell a fake title, what is the consequences and all that, to make sure that once you're coming on board, and mind you, before you write an exam, you do a proper due diligence of your tax clearance, police report and all. Those are very important for us, so that you can't just dupe anybody, so you know that whatever you're doing is right. And that's why we want you to come with us through the route, to take all your bio data to make sure that what you're doing is legit, and also vet the continuous training of the people will make everybody happy.
Great, that's good. A reminder that this is a governmental agency, it's not an independent and the government doing this to protect the industry, truly to build a stronger sector that will inspire trust. And so again, remember that on Wednesday, 15th October 2025, from 9 a.m. at Labadi, all these will be discussed. They will go deeper into the educational routes, how long it will take, which board, which institution you need to go to. So make sure that you're there, because knowledge is this power, and this can really help actually increase your stake in the industry as a real estate agent or as any stakeholder. Okay, another thing that I think is so important, you mentioned broker, you mentioned agents. What is the difference, according to the council and the between a brokerage, a broker, and an agency? You break it down.
Right. So I think an agent is somebody who buys and sells properties, and he cannot act independently. I mean, they sell and buy for commission, and they cannot act independently, and they have to work through brokers. So the brokers and agents, clearly not real big difference, but the difference is the brokers can act independently, and agents have to go through the brokers. So it means that if you look into our act, it says clearly, as an agent, you cannot work independently, you have to work through a broker. So that's the clear difference.
And yes, what is a broker? So for example, we have an agent who's been doing this for a while. What makes them a broker? What will let them know that you are acting as an independent agent and you need to move to broker status? What is the difference?
I mean, so I think the brokers are bigger firms. They're bigger in terms of capacity and everything, and the agents are smaller and they can never act independent. So they have to go through the brokers to be able to survive, and they are paid commission, right? And that's why clearly the act says that agents have to go through brokers, because agents are all the people walking around trying to sell properties to earn commission. But the brokers are well-established firms and independently stronger to be able to get the agents and pay them commission. And I think that's the biggest difference, yes.
Okay. How does an agent move from being an agent to a broker?
Well, I think it's a chain. I mean, once you're getting stronger in terms of cash and everything, you're able to apply for that to be a stronger broker. And experience is as well very important in that space, to make sure that once you're able to act independently, it makes you a stronger person to be a broker. It means that you can employ or bring in agents to work for you and you pay them commission. Yes, because it's key. Yes.
Understood. So they definitely, even I look forward to learning more about this, because I know there are many independent agents and you don't want to raise that concern. So I know this is what the stakeholder information permissions are equal to this. Absolutely accountable and truly assuring that.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you for that. So I believe you've mentioned a few of the qualities or qualifications, but let's take it one more time. What qualifies a real estate agent or broker as certified in the Act?
Well, so clearly the Act says that if you have an experience of 5 years prior to the Act, so it becomes 10 years now, 2025, right? And it has to come with experience, with reference from other people to prove that you've been in that space. Is very important for us. So we have a few people who have come to our offices and said, I've practiced for 13 years. But there's no proof of evidence of that, and clearly you don't qualify. You have to go through the educational route. So we're trying to make sure that you can't just say I am an agent or I am a broker, but you have to make sure there's evidence based on your transactions, also based on evidence based on all that tax clearance to show that you've been in that space. And I can see that you're one of the special people that we have that would say that you passed the test.
Oh, thank you. Yay. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I am big on, not forgetting where I come from. Right? It's very important. That's how I'm even putting myself in the shoes of the agent who is just beginning. Because there was a time where I was just 3 years in the industry where I didn't have an office, where they have a team. And so I am still an advocate for those shaky. How are we protecting them? How are they also feeling independent then and not feel like they're losing us?
So that's what I said to you, that the Act has not come in as an enemy. The Act has not come in to prevent people from working, but Act has come in to ensure that there's sanity into the system. Clearly what it means is, we don't want to say because you do not meet the standard, stop work. We will educate you. We will advise you. And once we do all those things well, you are fit for purpose. And that's what we're doing as a regulator.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That sounds good. Now, there's another aspect, foreign real estate agent.
Right.
As Ghana has been put on the map, more investors, foreign investors are interested. Some of them might be speaking to their foreign agent that, hey, find out from me, right? Or there are other foreign agents who are like, hey, Ghana looks interesting. How can I work there? What are the conditions for that? How does that affect the agents who are in Ghana? Or, are you encouraging partnership? What are plans for that?
So I think that, like I said earlier, we're not taking anybody's job. We have to rather make sure that our agents in Ghana are well affirmed, but there's a caveat there. We want to make sure that qualified people, in terms of, we have to make them aware that they have to do the right thing first, and that protects investors from coming. Then why is the investor coming to Ghana? The investor is coming to Ghana because Ghana is stable. There's very good economic growth. The indicators look good. The macro economic numbers look good. Inflation has come down. All those things. Those are very good indicators for the country. But mind you, in the Act it says that people who have practiced outside can come here and automatically register. It doesn't mean that you can just come and say that I'm a registered realtor, an agent or broker in America, so we have to register. We do proper due diligence, and clearly you have to get your police clearance from where you're coming from for us to do our background checks to know if what you're saying is right. Once that is fine, automatically with your tax clearance and with all the indicators and all the check boxes, once you pass that, we would give you the note. But clearly you should understand that they don't come here to work independently. They work with our people, and also our people are able to learn a lot of skills from them to make it better. So we work in collaboration, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, great. I think that's another thing some agents may have questions about, and I think this is well explained and sounds up there. And again, there'll be more on this after Nathan. So to the next speaker, a lot of people want a reference point for commissions, both agents and their clients, whether it's sellers or buyers, in situations of dual agency. Is this something that council will take up? Is this something that council is going to share so people can refer to?
So I think that I'm going strictly according to what the Act says, and I just want to say that we are trying to push for our ally, and we're picking up all these little informations from our stakeholders, and I believe that this is one of the issues that we're going to address, and I can promise you that please give me some time. Once the allies are firmed from next year, all these issues are going to be addressed. Yes, so it's a very essential point for the council, and we'll be looking at it to make sure that there's a line drawn that will be affirmed. So your reference line, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now, viewing fees, that's come up a lot, right? Are viewing fees allowed under the Act? And if so, how they manage? Because again, I put myself in the shoes. For some agents who've grown APD for it, we don't take viewing fees, right? Because we've come a long way, we can't afford to, in most instances, right? However, there are some who, they take people around. Sometimes the client is working with 10 agents.
Right.
And then I take my car, I pay 100 C's, 200 C's, and then the next day you're like, it's not happening. This is literally drawing business back. So I can understand when people charge viewing fees. So what does the Act say about that?
So I'm being clear on this. There's nothing in the Act that says viewing fees is allowed.
Okay.
And from where I'm sitting, I'm a very listening acting chief executive. I feel that this council will succeed if you listen to all the stakeholders. We've had a lot of complaints on that, but what I want to say is, from my earlier point, viewing fee is not a legal thing. We understand people's issues in terms of taking people around to show them homes and all that, and ability to say, I took you around, so I need to take some money. I want to say categorically that is wrong. You can only give the person willingly from your heart that thank you for taking me around, but I think it is not part of the Act. Also, it's something that we're going to deliberate on under the ally, and I believe that we would also speak to that issue to you, my dear Hannah.
Okay. Yeah, understood. There are two sides to it. Where some have also said, some agents are liberally just take them to any property so that they can charge a fee. But as I mentioned earlier, there's also the side of the genuine per diem who has to invest money into it. So what he's saying is that it currently is not allowed, but she's going to deliberate on it. And there can be any considerations and regulations. So,
but I think that, like I said earlier, it should be willing. It's nothing that is compulsory. You don't do it out of. You cannot force anybody to pay viewing fee because it's not part of our functions or part of the act. But you need to. That's why we are educating the agents and brokers and all the developers alongside this up and coming conference. And these are the things that we're going to talk about. I mean, the do's and don'ts, actions and inactions of everybody part of this space to know the best practices. So clearly, there's no one of the practices that is under functions of the council. Yes.
Okay, that's great. I think I have my last question here because I know you'll be coming again.
Right.
After this is prior to the conference. After we will invite you again, even with my audience, my lovely audience, the community members. If you have any questions, please share it, and I'll be happy to invite him back. He's a very gracious person. I'm sure he'll come back to answer your questions. It's more could you. So how does REAC address issues and conflicts among brokers, agents, sellers? How are you going to ensure that these conflicts do not affect other parties, the investor? You know, it's really about them as well.
Well, I think the ARKUTU'S has a function in there that says that we're supposed to have an AGR center. And
is it 80?
Yeah, so AGR is an alternative dispute.
Okay.
Yes, which is part of the functions. We're supposed to have an AGR center in the council. And then alternative disputes, it clearly means that you're not going to the court, but we want to deliberate on a dispute between the buyer and the seller, which we have. But unfortunately, we do not have the center there. So we decided to collaborate with the Ghana Institute of Surveyors because they have a center that will send our disputes there to be resolved. And mind you, those are very voluntary, but it's a good sign of a dispute resolution, and people are happy to see an area that they can send their grievances. And also under the functions of the Act, we have an appeals committee. And we're supposed to have an appeals committee where people have issues and you report to the appeals committee, and we make sure that your issues are resolved. And so those are very key to us because it looks like the key issues under this real estate space is conflicts and unethical issues. So it's one of our core functions to make sure that we have a solid conflict unit to make sure that people's grievances can be heard. So once people's issues can be held and resolved, people are happy that there's a stronger council who's ready to listen, who's ready to reform, who's ready to make sure that there's a stronger country that solves people's problems. And for me, that's key for me as a CEO.
Fantastic. I think that's great. And I'm glad that we've been able to touch on most of these questions. And then on the 15th of October, stakeholders can come again to Labadi Beach to voting. To end, if you had to summarize, you met someone, summarize all that we've talked about, to a stakeholder. Maybe someone is just getting in at this point of the video. Let's just do a summary of whatever you want people to know about the Real Estate Agency Council.
Well, I think I was invited here on a Wednesday to speak to you about a conference coming up and also what are functions of my council. So I just want to say that the mandate of the council is to regulate the real estate practice in the country and all commercial activities, sales, rentals, purchases, and all fixed assets related. We have to make sure that we have a database on all the agents, brokers, and ensure that they have to report their transactions. People have to pay for their taxes to ensure that there's compliance. There's supposed to be a stronger code of ethics to protect the sector. We have an AGR center that's also supposed to resolve people's issues. Another reason why we're having a conference is, first of all, awareness, education, and for people to understand the mandate of the council, to know that when you're in Ghana and you're involved in selling and buying of properties, or you're a developer, you need to know that there's a stronger regulator that wants to bring sanity, to prevent unethical issues, to make sure that the law works. So you can't just come in to say, I'm an agent, but you have to know that there's a regulating body that regulates that space, so you need to do things right. And for me, that is what governance is about. We have to make sure that anybody entering that space believes in the system. And once we do that, everybody here will know that once I enter that space, the brand is protected. And once again, Hannah, I'm happy to be here and always ready to speak to you. And thank you.
Thank you. That's so amazing. And my summary is, I was stakeholder in the industry, been in leadership for 19 years. We do welcome the council. I encourage all stakeholders, our stick for real estate agents, to read the act. We read the act and we address concerns. We address concerns that we thought it can just look at us again. How does it affect us as agents? And we encourage you to do so, because initially it may sound a bit overwhelming, but you want to make sure that you're going in. The council has spoken to be very open-handed. They have open arms. They are inviting everyone to come to their office, which is at Cantonment. In the instrument, you can find it on Google Maps, and then go through their ads, speak to them, let them know what your concerns. And the stakeholder engagement is for all these concerns to be addressed, and they have a committee that will be looking at it. So I encourage us to look at it from the positive side, how this comes to make us stronger, how this comes to make us better, and to serve investors and developers who've had any concerns about Ghana. This council is here to help protect you and to make sure that we are building a stronger system, which is what we are all fighting for. As you know, I say Ghana is golden, which means that it has so much potential and rewarding. So thank you so much for your time. Please feel free to share your comments and questions, and we'll be back again. Mr. Jeffrey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.